Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tesla stock at the time of recording this video is up about 2% today. As we've talked about recently, it looks like Tesla wants to extend the last couple of days of strength and head into a breakout. Okay. Now, what happens in the broader markets, this whole banking crisis situation, I guess we're back to 2023. China trade war, government shutdown, growth concerns, all of this, or all of these, I should say, are big catalysts for the markets and have this pressure on Tesla. Good and bad. If things start to go right, that's going to amplify Tesla. If things go bad, well, that's not going to be great for Tesla. So in today's episode, we will go over all of your Tesla stock breaking news today. Tesla specific news, and we will cover what's happening in the broader markets today because we are getting quite a few important headlines. Do me a quick favor before we get into all of this information, hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Ladies and gentlemen, check that link out down below in the description of this video as well. If you want to come join the trading community, we go out, we're finding healthcare names, biopharmas, gene editing companies, robotics, energy, AI companies, and investing in the underappreciated, overlooked opportunities. A lot of them are smaller cap companies. A lot of them just don't have analyst coverage nearly to the same extent as the well-known companies. They're flying under the radar or in between the cracks, and those are the stocks where the most opportunity is. In fact, I just bought a new one today, and it's impressive. It's a $9 billion pharmaceutical company that is trying to cure 30% of cancers, some of the hardest ones to treat. So yeah, exciting opportunities to say the least. High risk, high reward kind of stuff. If that's not your ballpark, if you're not trying to make a lot of money, if you're slow and steady kind of a person, then unfortunately that group is not for you. Full disclosure. But that link is down below. And if you guys want to sign up with Public, my favorite brokerage right now, deposit $1,000 with the link down below, fund a new account, and get $100 in your choice of free stock. Easy 10% return for nothing. Sawyer Merritt says here that he did his first daytime drive on FSD V14.1.2 with Mad Max mode enabled with no major issues or interventions. He says this is his new favorite mode. As he demonstrates all 5 FSD speed profiles in this video, this mode actually lets you go up to 85 miles an hour on the highway, which is what a lot of people tend to drive at. And the Cybercab yet again today was spotted testing at the Fremont factory. Okay, it's obvious. We're about to get full autonomy in vehicles. We're about to get robotaxis with no safety driver in the front seat. It's really just a matter of time, and this is a big catalyst that could be coming any moment. The Model Y standard production is well underway at Giga Texas. You can see all of these Teslas here, the Model Y standards that are being spotted. So again, Tesla's manufacturing capabilities are incredible. They're already manufacturing a good amount of the Model Y standard. And just to be clear, like the Model Y standard, sure, if you want to save $5,000 to $8,000, something like that, like go for the Model Y standard. But what the Model Y standard is really going to be good for are businesses, our fleets, okay, rental car fleets, company fleets, right, where you don't need all of the gadgets that someone might want for a personal vehicle. I've heard a lot of business owners say that the Model Y standard, and really the Model 3 standard as well, are specifically interesting for business purposes. Tesla is now offering 3.99% APR with $5,000 down for a new Model S or Model X order in the US, which is very cheap. That's down from over 5% previously. And we can see the new Model Y L standard is starting to pop up in Tesla's inventory in the US. And this is pretty damn cool. Healthcare workers in the US can now get a $500 discount towards any Tesla vehicle purchase, 1,000 Canadian dollar discount for those in Canada. Tesla FSD gets first wave of reviews in media outlets in Japan. As per the publication, FSD demonstrated excellent situational awareness and smooth control, at times even performing better than a human driver. FSD was also credited for properly reacting to sudden unexpected things on the road. As per the FSD review, for an example, a bicyclist suddenly came barreling into a crosswalk at high speed from the Tesla blind spot. The vehicle recognized the cyclist immediately and responded in a safe and proper manner, prompting the reviewer to claim, "Wow." And when a vehicle ahead of the Tesla started backing up to perform a turnaround on a narrow street unexpectedly, FSD smoothly halted to avoid a collision. Overall, the reviewer noted that during the 30-minute drive, the Tesla Model 3 running FSD did not require a single intervention. Why is this potentially important? Well, Waymo is launching in Tokyo. Japan could be a massive market for robotaxis over the years. And seeing Tesla operate this efficiently, people calling it even better than humans at times, is a great thing. I mean, even Waymo just getting approval to operate in Tokyo in 2026 is going to make it easier for Tesla to get a similar approval. Tesla extends Model Y L delivery estimates in China to December 2025, a sign of strong demand. This is something I have pounded the table on for a long time now. Wall Street, for the last 6 months, have been under this narrative that Q3 is going to be really strong and then Q4 is going to be really bad. Like there's going to be a huge drop off in demand. I don't buy it. Q4 is organically Tesla's strongest quarter, and unless you are in the investor community or knew somebody that, talked about the $7,500 tax credit, a lot of people, average folks in America, didn't even know the tax credit existed, right? Like that was not widely known information. So for some people, it prompted them to maybe buy a Tesla faster. But I still think you're going to have a really good Q4. It's not going to be a huge drop off in demand like Wall Street was predicting. Now, deliveries are a lot less important for Tesla. We clearly know this. Tesla had blowout deliveries about a week and a half ago. What happened? The stock sold off for no rhyme or reason. Blowout numbers, way better than expected. It was a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of event, okay? At this stage, though, I think you've reset sentiment, and you could be on a march to retest the 470s, ultimately new all-time highs very soon. But add strong Q4 deliveries to the set of positive catalysts that could be coming soon, and again, that's just another positive catalyst. On top of November 6th shareholder meeting, Elon Musk's compensation package, and the investment in XAI. Next week's earnings, we could hear some exciting things about Robotaxi and Optimus. I'm expecting Optimus is going to start commercial sales in warehouse-like settings next year. That's going to be great. Real validation of the technology. I think at least one more city is going to get Robotaxis this year. And what it looks like, this is now the second or third video of Cybercab being tested in Fremont. Maybe, just maybe, Tesla's getting closer and closer to unsupervised robotaxi rides, which, changes the game for Tesla, right? Just if you have to pay somebody to sit in the driver's seat, you're not going to be profitable on robotaxi operations. Like, it would be very difficult to be profitable if you had to pay someone to sit in the front seat and watch the rides. Once you take that person out of the equation, as robotaxi scales, the profitability will be insane. That could be coming very soon. Not to mention, from a broader market perspective at this point, if tensions die down with China, That's a positive. If the government reopens, that's a positive. The Fed's going to continue to cut rates, which, uniformly benefits housing and autos more than other areas. There's a lot of positive tailwinds right now for Tesla that are going to drive the stock higher in the coming months, in my personal opinion. Now, Kamala Harris said today, it's been a while since we heard from her, that she thought it was a big mistake not to invite Elon Musk to the White House when the Biden administration did a big EV event. She said, "Here he is, a major American manufacturer of extraordinary innovation in this space and in space. And the fact that he was not invited on merit, a president of the United States, I believe, has to put aside political loyalties." Which, yeah, no shit. That was a big mistake not to invite Elon. Now, here in the news today for Tesla and option activity from hedge funds and institutions, you have seen 110 different trades totaling $77.83 million with a positive order value of 76%. So pretty similar numbers to yesterday. The dollar amount yesterday was $661.64 million with a positive order value of 78%, which is very strong. Today, 76% positive order value. Again, very strong, but it is a smaller dollar amount. Now, the day is not completed yet, and we really don't get the final numbers until a couple hours after the trading day is concluded. So the dollar amounts themselves can obviously change, but it looks bullish as of right now. Now, if we take a look at what these short sellers are doing today, about 300,000 shares are being covered on. That's actually not that much, again, compared to 76.84 million shares that are sold short. So it's a little bit of covering, but it's not anything to write a book about, if you will. Short interest free float sits at 2.74%, $33.06 billion sold short in Tesla stock. Now, in broader market news today, Fed Musa Liam says there is a low probability the next Fed leader will not be qualified. So that sounds like he's trying to get on Trump's good side. Fed Musa Liam says bankers tell me credit conditions are really good. Fed Musa Liam says today another rate cut could be warranted if job risks rise and inflation remains contained, calls for caution and meeting by meeting approach amid tariff pressures, slowing labor market, and uncertain outlook. A Hamas official says the group cannot commit to disarming, calling it a broader issue that must include other Palestinian factions. Adds Hamas will remain present on the ground during a transitional technocrat-led period to ensure aid security. Seeks 3 to 5 year truce to rebuild Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister's office responds that Hamas must fully disarm under Trump's 20-point plan, saying the group is, quote, running out of time. Chinese Defense Ministry warns U.S. against perilous moves to arm Taiwan region. As it stands, there is a 16% chance China will invade Taiwan by the end of 2026. U.S. Atlanta Fed GDP Now tracker for Q3 is at 3.9%. It was previously at 3.8%, but again, we're not getting a lot of the important economic data that really moves GDP expectations. So this is really just a wild card. Harvard says today, without data centers, GDP growth was 0.1% in the first half of 2025. Mexico's President Sheinbaum says today Mexico's trade talks with the U.S. are going very well. Now, this is alarming, okay? Trump was asked if high China tariffs will stand, per Bloomberg. He answered, no. So Trump said the high China tariffs are not going to stand. They're likely not going to go into effect. But yet the Russell is still down over 1% today. Yeah, that's not great. Okay, let me just tell you that now. Seems like the banking crisis fears banking crisis part 2 2023 all over again are really impacting markets. Let's take a look at the KRE. This is the regional bank ETF. It's actually up today, but it was down over 6% yesterday and down about 2.5% the day before. So there's definitely still quite a bit of fear in this area. Among S&P 500 companies, 72% mentioned AI as a material risk on their Form 10-Ks this year, the conference board found, up from 58% last year and only 12% in 2023. Trump's trade advisor Navarro says we don't see tariffs raising the cost of manufacturing. Navarro says we won't see manufacturing jobs until capacity gets built. Goldman Sachs has said there is not a stock market bubble yet. Morgan Stanley says that Zion's sell-off seemed overdone. Zion's Bancorp Q3 loss and fraud allegations against certain borrowers spooked investors, triggering a 13% drop. Morgan Stanley says the reaction is overblown, noting no signs of wider issues and limited exposure to risky non-depository loans. Shares rebound 2.9% today. House Minority Leader Jeffries says the House and Senate Democrats continue to hold firm. So, again, it doesn't seem like the government's going to reopen anytime soon. A big earnings that I told you guys to watch out for this week actually happened today. It was American Express. Specifically because the government is shut down, we're not getting a lot of economic data on the consumer. American Express is going to be able to tell us a little bit more about how the consumer is spending. And they did. American Express says the government shutdown hasn't hit consumers yet. Amex, American Express, just lifted their 2025 EPS outlook to $15.20 to $15.50 and still targets 9 to 10% revenue growth after record $18.4 billion Q3 revenue, with credit provisions easing to $1.3 billion, suggesting affluent spending remains resilient even as delinquencies nudge higher industry-wide. So they were basically able to lower the amount of money they have to keep for potential losses. They beat on earnings, raised guidance. I mean, so far, economy looks pretty good. One of the first areas to crack will be the credit card companies. You know how many people are not going to give a rat's ass when it comes to, putting gas in the tank to take their kids to school or paying their credit card off? I know people personally that have got credit cards that have, used them for a couple months like they're supposed to, right? Keeping balances below 30%, and then boom, and something happens. They lose their job, and they max out the credit card and have no regards for the credit card company. Like, could give a crap less about their credit. People got to do what they got to do. So credit cards are going to get maxed out and forgotten about long before you're seeing a recession. And that's just doesn't seem to be happening on a large scale just yet. Canada and China's foreign ministers will meet on Friday. Bessent says today the World Bank must end support for China. The WTO chief, the World Trade Organization chief, that's what WTO stands for, have spoken with China and the U.S. to urge de-escalation of trade tensions. Both sides understand importance of dialogue. The WTO chief says any U.S.-China decoupling would lead to fragmentation of trade, could reduce global GDP by up to 7% on a longer-term basis. And isn't this some shit? The EU offers to buy U.S. weapons for Ukraine using Russia's frozen assets. The EU has offered to use part of a proposed $140 billion loan backed by Russia's frozen assets to buy U.S. weapons for Ukraine. That's one of the craziest headlines you'll ever see, ever. They're strong-arming Russia. This morning, White House Hassett says we are not in a trade war with China. This comes after Donald Trump said 2 days ago that we are indeed in a trade war with China. Bessent and the Chinese vice premier will speak today, according to CNBC. So we'll see if we get any positive headlines, but we already got some positive headlines today, and it doesn't seem to be positively affecting markets. So I think it just could be some of the seasonal volatility. We've also thrown around and speculated in the trading community that maybe China is adding some selling pressure to markets. I mean, because we're getting these positive headlines and we're not getting a positive reaction. Now, it's not unusual to have a volatile October. Keep that in mind. October tends to have the most 1% plus swings, up or down, right? You tend to have big moves in October. November is the really good month, and then December is a really good month as well. China's minister says China has the right to take countermeasures against the US. Trump on China tariffs says, quote, "We have to have a fair deal." Trump on China tariffs says, quote, "We're going to do fine with China." Again, these very positive sounding headlines that are not doing what you'd expect to see in markets. And Trump on China says that he is meeting with President Xi in 2 weeks. UBS today turns bullish on global equities. UBS upgraded its global equity outlook to attractive, citing stronger growth, easing tariffs, and AI-driven investment. The bank raised its 2025 earnings forecast to 8% and expects support from Fed cuts and fiscal stimulus. UBS upgraded US, China, EM, and Asia ex-Japan equities, favoring tech and financials. It sees China tech EPS up nearly 40% in 2026 and says AI, power, and resources and longevity will drive gains ahead. And another very strong contrarian indicator that would say you want to be bullish on markets is, look at this, the CNN Fear and Greed Index is hitting extreme fear today, coming in at 24. Market momentum is fear, stock price strength is neutral, stock price breadth, extreme fear, put and call options, fear, market volatility, extreme fear, safe haven demand in extreme fear, and junk bond demand in extreme fear as well. Another one that we've looked at and talked about recently is the AI Investor Sentiment Survey. 33.7% of investors are bullish. That is down from 45.9% last week. Neutral investors are up from 18.5% last week to 20.3% this week. And bearish investors up from 35.6% to 46.1%. The bears are in control of this market. And when the bears are in control is typically when you want to be buying things, right? It's a very strong contrarian indicator that you got to just go out, close your eyes, and buy something. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a financial planner, but I do think these things are going to blow over, and I do think we're going to have a very strong end of October rally, but really November and December should be very, very strong. I still have, a very constructive backdrop for 2026, and that hasn't changed at all with any of the latest developments. So let me know your thoughts on all of this down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Again, check out the link down below if you want to come join the trading community, as well as get $100 in your choice of free stock when you sign up and deposit $1,000 on Public. And let me just tell you, Public, it has got to be one of the best brokerages you could imagine out there. Okay, like, they have this tool that I really love. Okay, let's just click on this stock for an example. Market cap. So you could look at market cap over time, right? You could do this for a lot of stocks. Like Dragonfly is one that we invested in quick. For like 2 days we made like 80%. It was like $5,000. Well, you could look at this stock and a lot of people will say, oh my gosh, this stock used to be $200 a share in 2022. Well, was it really? Not really. Okay. Kind of. I guess it did spike to like a $400 million market cap. But what you've seen recently was the highest market cap you've had on this company in a very long time. They've had a lot of dilution. Okay. And that's why, the numbers look like this, right? So you can, you do a lot of cool things, and it's very simplistic, kind of like a better version of Robinhood, in my opinion. So again, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Oh, and all of this, you can look at like analyst targets, just right there. Click on your phone. It's a little easier to look at the analyst history too. Boom, get to see all the price targets, all of that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on all this down below in the comment section. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.